mentioned that it was nerve-wracking at first to get in touch with the communities. So I'm curious, how did the program help you and the group? How was that experience?
So part of what you just said, I definitely experienced it kind of going in, or was kind of asking about it going in, because those communities, particularly the first sense of communication that at least I was going to be pushing out towards those communities was just text primarily, through the issues board or through their public forums. Um, it's really hard to kind of interpret your tone, right? You can't imagine the person's face kind of talking to you. You don't know where they come from, so you don't know how they're going to interpret the message that you're kind of sending out. And that's kind of part of the reasons why I had nerves going in, and how to introduce yourself to that. So at least the way I went about it during the program, Emily definitely helped a lot in that sense. Um, Initially by kind of teaching me and the group how to go through all the guidelines and the established documentation of a community, so that you could get a sense of how they communicate. Also teaching us to look through, even if kind of skimmed, through any issues that have been closed before. How do they talk back and forth? How do the people that host the project, how do they respond to certain ways of communicating? What do they look for? Do they look for screenshots? Do they look for references to files? Every community is different, but generally, the more the merrier, the more information you want to have. Also, um, kind of what kind of tone or kind of colorful introductory words are acceptable to kind of throw out there. At least myself, when I did the first two, three contributions, I ran my message past the team that I was in, just to make sure everybody in the group had a good interpretation of kind of what I was saying, because I'm not very strong at writing. I've been good at math, programming and stuff, but I've never been good at writing essays. So I definitely ran my messages past them before pushing that out.
Yeah, that's something that you've touched upon that's quite common, in that, you know, folks that gravitate towards computer science, often good at math, often really good at logic, maybe not so good at politics, clear communication, you know, just that level of everything from empathy to just, you know, it's knowing who your audience is, knowing the way to engage. All of those soft skills are something that, you know, engineers who thrive and do really well in open source communities, they actually have those. And that's one of the things that helps elevate them. And it's a good skill to have for the, you know, for life in general. But it is one that is often kind of lacking in computer science people. I know lots of engineers that have been in their career as long as I have, and they're still not very good at talking to people.
We do have the concept of peer programming, and I don't know what else we're calling them these days, but like in the corporate environment, like the team works together to make sure that the code is great. But I think we should maybe have this, I don't know, peer communication something where, as you just said, a small group of people could review some messages that are more sensitive or touching on a topic that like is harder to discuss with the community on the other side, because it is really not trivial in terms of how people are interpreting what you're trying to say. And personally, English is my second language, and I'm from Hungary. That is also a different enough culture from like people in the United States are used to, for instance, and I communicate a lot with people in the US. And I think even within the company environment. Like I wrote up an email and later I was told that it was passive aggressive. And I was like, if a Hungarian person read it, they would be like, wow, such a nicely worded email. So working with open source communities, there's a good chance that they are a global community, or at least, there are people from different enough cultures in those communities. Not everybody speaks English as a first language, even though English is usually the common language in these communities. So having a group of people who can vet any message or email that you're about to send, I think that that's not just for students, but established corporate workers that would be just as useful, because again, it's never trivial. And I think I'm a good communicator, but there it goes.